But isn't it beautiful to have a beautiful silver Kiddush cup? Which, as Harold knows, Harold gave me good advice for polishing. The pandemic led me to do something I had not done in years, which is to polish everything. You know, it just sits there and you think, it's so low on the list of things to do. But in the pandemic, I've now been polishing my Kiddush cups and, oh, beautiful.
Wow, those are beautiful.
Those were good.
I've polished now my Kiddush cups and my Shabbos candles. And that's another way to kind of make it feel a little bit fresher. Because let's say it's amazing how much stuff comes off. It's
Corey Dane has already helped us out. If you go to the Psalms class Facebook page, there is a link to the handout from the class on making your home a sanctuary and the video. And I understand that Cape Cod Candle has Yizkor candles. Are they pumpkin spice, or are they?
They have little lobsters on them because it's Cape Cod.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm the one that wrote that, but I wrote it. I don't know if anyone else wrote it, but of course Cape Cod has it as well. And plenty of water all around.
So, but now is the time to think about the Yizkor candle. Don't wait till the day before Yom Kippur.
Actually, we have them already, so we're
all
set.
Right. It is time for Adria Benjamin to play us in.
Oh, beautiful.
Adria, take it away.
Okay, so I think it was on Monday when the theme of Hashivenu came up in the class. We spent some time on it. So it led me to do a little exploration, and I have a slightly edited version of the Ariane Aronson Hashivenu, which I think that they did at Central Synagogue.
Yeah.
We can see this, okay?
By the way, she's been one of our musicians for Simchat Torah for many years. She's a singer, songwriter, and a musician. So she's been part of that little band we've had on Simchat Torah. And for many years, she was at Central Synagogues. Her wife is the cantor at Central, one of the cantors at Central Synagogue. Right. I think they have 4. I'm not sure, but. Beautiful. Thank you, Adria. That's just gorgeous hearing you play that. And some of you might have recognized that a part of that return is what we sang Friday night, opening the service. Of course, acknowledging our return, the 3 of us leading in the sanctuary, and the return of the season. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Adria. And Adria will be doing one of our Kol Nidres on Yom Kippur. We are so, so, so blessed to have you, Adria. Thank you.
All right, so we have offerings. Do we ever have offerings today? Donna Gray, are you with us?
Yes.
Okay. Let me get this a little bigger. All right, it's all you.
Spirit, wait till you're, okay. Spirit is my light and the help I have always needed. Whom should I fear? Mother God is the strength of my life. What demons should I dread? When evil shadows of doubt gather to devour my mind, they stumble and fall before your radiant presence. Armies of negativity try to set up camp in my consciousness, yet I have no fear they will gain a stronghold. I stand confident. My faith remains firm. One thing I ask, only this do I seek, to dwell in your house all the days of my life, to know the beauty that is always ready to welcome me when I am ready to be welcomed. Humbled on my knees before you, you shelter me. You offer protection. You raise me up beyond the clouds. As the sky clears, I sing your praises, chanting psalms of relief, of gratitude and joy. Hear me, O God, my God, when I cry out from the darkness. Be gracious and answer me. Don't hide your face from me. Do not reject me because of all my shortcomings. My mother and my father abandoned me long before leaving forever to their eternal rest. I blame them far too long for what they did not have to give. Forgive me. Teach me your way, O God, my God. Help me to avoid the traps I can so easily fall into. Guide me on the path that leads to you. Protect me from the lies and threats of my enemies, both without and within. I could so easily drown in the undertow of realities too overwhelming to fathom. I need a life raft, even if I don't pass muster. If I didn't have faith that your goodness would find me when I lose my way, it would be too much to bear, too unthinkable to imagine. I look to you and find the courage and hope I need to go on. With all that I am, the good and the not so good, I look to you for a divine spark of guidance. Let me hear the still small voice that speaks to me, if only I am quiet enough to listen.
Wow, Donna, spectacular. Speak to us a little bit about your process.
Well, I wanted to stay pretty close to the actual psalm this time. I didn't want to make it, but at the same time personalize it for me. And there has been a lot of talk about God or Adonai, I try to mix it up, but the bottom line for me is spirit. And, I know that when I can tune into that higher consciousness, it's a way to lift myself up out of anything. And if I let those evil shadows of doubt and those armies of negativity gain a stronghold in my consciousness, I can get lost.
Just these evil shadows of doubt, how powerful that is. Keep going.
Like that can just, that's in a way a definition of evil, because it's getting caught up in that negative consciousness that thinks it's powerful. It's a false sense of power. And, with the thought about my mother and my father abandoned me, I think my mother and my father abandoned me from the time I was born because they didn't have to give the kind of sustenance that I was looking for. And I have deep regret for how long I blame them.
Uh-huh.
And so I ask forgiveness from God, from them, from myself.
Beautiful.
And that's it.
Yeah. be really beautiful. I like also the evil shadow of doubt, because doubt is like a shadow. It's not, you can't hold on to it. Do you know what I mean? I think that's a very powerful image. It kind of just permeates and covers and seeps in. I think that's really, really powerful. And also this journey towards forgiveness for people who have deeply disappointed us and deeply let us down and then at a certain point.
You know, I went through a process yesterday that was about, you know, I was thinking about who I might need to write a letter, an Elul letter of forgiveness to. And then I just thought, you know, let me instead just accept that if somebody wants to connect with me, they will. And if they don't, you know, that's their prerogative. And let me, you know, what I see as a growing edge is to keep my heart open, even if it's not reciprocated. So, and just send loving energy and let go, surrender.
And likewise, I think it's true about people for whom it's hard for us to forgive. Like on some level, we have to be gentle with ourselves. And maybe the best you can do is to say to yourself, I'm not able to get there this year. I am going to I pray that I can work on whatever it is. And maybe next year I can be in a place of deep forgiveness. Do you know what I mean? That gentleness needs to be towards ourselves too, in the process of forgiving. And
you know, it's like we're walking a tightrope.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's a good image. So I think that if it's not possible yet to forgive, I really think praying for this year and this process to be a step in that direction, and a step towards softening up, and a step towards getting to a place of letting it go and forgiving, is valuable, even if you can't quite turn that corner.
And giving it to God.
And giving it to God and saying you need help in getting there, that you've tried all these years on your own. and
I, you know, when with all that I have, the good and the not so good,
yeah,
I still need a life raft.
Beautiful, Donna. That really, really beautiful. Thank you. Okay, Cape Cod.
Barbara Grindell.
How are the puppies, Barbara?
Oh, well, right now they're in another room,
okay.
in their crib, in their playpen, because they were making so much noise.
Okay, yes.
We're taking them off Cape today. We have checkup appointments off Cape. It's an exciting day. They're coming in the car. They're really good in the car. They never, ever bark in the car. It's amazing. Because they know they're with us. I don't know, but for whatever it is. Okay. I will read. Adonai is my beacon, my helper through the darkness. Whom shall I fear? Adonai is the serenity in my life. Whom shall I dread? Should cancer try to devour me again, inside and out, it is the illness that is defeated. Though an enemy is near, my heart fears not. Should a plague rage against me, I shall trust in Adonai. Only this I ask, only this I desire, that I might live in your house, Adonai, all of my days, to behold your presence from the light of your shelter.
Could you go back to that? That is really beautiful, Barbara. Can we see it on the, Harold, would you please put it back on?
Sure.
Wow.
Thank you. So first of all, I love that the only punctuation in the whole thing are 2 question marks. Is that right?
Yes, I did that on purpose. Yes, yep.
So talk to us a little bit about your process now.
Well, I have to tell you that when you first mentioned, I mean, you've talked about the Psalms class for a while, and I told you I wanted to go in at a right time. Then you said now. When you mentioned that people were writing a psalm based on Psalm 27, I thought, well, I can't do that. I don't think I can do that. And then I started thinking about it, because why can't I do that? So I tried. And I came up with verse 1 to 4, because I thought I could make a cohesive, thing out of it. I certainly wanted to personalize it. If I got anything out of the Psalms, it's like, how does it affect you?
Exactly.
What's going on with you?
Most important thing. That is it. That's it. That's the most important thing you got right there.
Right. And so I did have breast cancer 28 years ago. Mm. And in fact, you don't know this, but Cheryl and I joined CBST 2 years after I was diagnosed because I wanted to have that other layer in my life. And CBST, I could point to so many different times of my life when CBST was there for me. It's been amazing. But the fact that we're out of New York for 18 years, that's when I retired. So this is great though, having access to CBST during this pandemic, along with my puppies.
Along with
my puppies in CBST.
Beautiful.
Because I would say that God, my introduction really to God was in a synagogue setting in CBST. I never went to synagogue. I knew very little. It's because I had that background from CBST that when I got to Florida and Hadassah was having adult bar mitzvahs, I did it because I was already retired, so I had the time. And that was also a big moment, but it was almost as if I was bar mitzvah at CBST because that's what started it. When I got to Florida, yeah, I'm signing up. I want to do this. So,
Barbara.
I really, yeah. So I'm going to, at some point, I may take this and see how I can expand it to some of the other verses. But I knew
not, as we've seen, sometimes people just stay with one verse or a phrase, and that's okay. And maybe when we get on to the next psalm, you'll do something different. You can do this in every psalm we do, Barbara, but this is beautiful. And I think it's very powerful to personalize it, to zero in on the cancer, and then the next paragraph to have zero in on the plague, which of course can mean any plague, but any of us reading it in this moment, we feel the reference to the plague we're in right now, but there's a little bit of an ambivalent or an ambiguity there that's beautiful. And then that word shelter, to end with the light of your shelter, that's beautiful. That's just beautiful.
Right, till I got to that. I kept looking at it and saying, oh, I could better say what I want to say.
Perfect. You don't need to do more.
Myself anymore.
Psalm really, as I said, you could do one phrase, one word of a psalm and play with it. And then, so this is beautiful, Barbara. Great job. Good luck with the puppies today.
For us to come in, the people that weren't in. So I'm glad I'm going to stay. And you got me up early now. Now I'm up early in the morning because of this class. True. Thank you.
I believe that Goldalee calls in. I also believe that this might be Goldalee's first offering. Goldalee, are you with us?
Good morning.
Good morning. It's up on the screen. You can read from your text whenever you'd like.
Okay, I just need a moment. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Harold. Can you go to someone else for a moment?
Sure, Goldalee. I'll come back to you. Lori Krotman from Smoky, Seattle.
Yeah, I wrote this a long time ago before this plague of darkness hit Seattle. So here we go, and then I'll talk about it later if you want. Zapping, okay. Zapping sounds in a dark room filled with light. Sitting in a dark room, watching the moths flutter toward the light, hearing the zap of the machine when the mosquitoes fly too close. My scent attracts attackers. My breath invites prey. My body heat entices enemies. They call the zapper a non-toxic solution to safely kill bothersome pets, obliterate annoying bloodsuckers, eradicate uninvited biting guests. Fleeing inside is a temporary solution, shutting the doors tight so nothing can get in, not even air, staying away from unlivable outdoor space. Is this what it means to shelter, to be protected, to be safeguarded? Bug sprays are laden with chemicals. Zappers kill the innocent as well as the predators. Waterproof, airproof, lightproof asylums leave no way to breathe. Instead, I wrap a seemingly invisible shield around the soft parts of my body. I slather myself with intoxicating fragrances so nothing can sting me. I dissolve the toxic sounds of the night into hopeful murmurs. I cradle myself in my arms with the full moon shining, taking to my bed like a tragic heroine, rocking, keening, crying, dissolving, giving into the overwhelming trembling and groans that envelop me. Eventually, this moment of grief will look like a passing thundercloud. Let it be, let it go. You can't get from point A to point B without walking through fire. Sigh.
Wow. Wow. And for sure, the references to fire, given what's happening right now, that's a whole other. Okay, talk to us, Lori. Beautiful, very powerful.
Well, you know, most of the things that I wrote, I know there's a lot of enemies out there. There's a lot of bad stuff out there. But for me, it's about internal enemies mostly, because I'm the one that really causes my own suffering. And the only way I can stop suffering is to get out of myself, cradle myself, rock myself. You know, I thought of my mother and father abandoned me, and I have to cradle myself. And what Donna said was so true. I kind of long ago forgave them for being what I called rotten parents for a long time. It's me who has to give myself my own comfort. And I thought of point A to point B, like the walk from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur, that you have to go through the fire. You know, you have to suffer in order to stop suffering. I don't know how better to say it. But it's an internal job, and what I do on the outside, you know, I fight the enemies, I do what I do, but if I don't take care of myself inside, I'm really ineffective outside. So, and I had a little funny thing. I put "Let It Be," and I thought, ugh, that sounds so trite. And I looked up Paul McCartney, and apparently his mother, he had a very paranoid period, and his mother was named Mary, and she appeared to him in a dream, and she said to him, "Let it be." So I thought, well, I'll leave that in. I could leave that in with that definition. So that's my poem.
That's always the challenge, right? The things that are cliche are often cliche because there's a reason. And there's a power to the simplest, most repeated things. And the question for great writers, of course, is how do they say again in a new, and that's what great art does, right? Is in some ways, the stories just get repeated. The morals of the story are so simple oftentimes. And it's how great art shows it to us in a new way, maybe that gets us to be connected in a way that has deep meaning. I think some of you were at my mother's funeral last year, and I told a story in her eulogy. My mother was a very, very, very difficult person. And my brother once, when he was in college, wanted to talk to her about all the ways that she screwed him up and all the things she did wrong. And my mother looked at him and said, "Well, I guess it's your problem now." And you know what? It kind of released him. It was kind of like, yeah, I guess so. Like she said, okay, all that might be true, but I guess it's your problem now. And he always talks about that as a point of kind of release. Like she didn't agonize about the things she had screwed up, and she was able to say, all right, figure it out. You're now an adult. You're a young man. And that's kind of what we have to do, right? I mean, we're given all different kinds of gifts. Some of them are generous and loving, and some of them are dark and difficult to carry. And we've got to figure out how to carry it all. So, Lori, it's beautiful. Thank you.
And you know, Rabbi, I think it's not so much, it's more of a challenge than than whatever word you just used about giving it up, because I think that's what life is about. You know, you're born. You know, I have these little grandchildren out here in Seattle, this little 6-month-old. You know, he doesn't know about this. He doesn't know about the struggles, the smog and everything. And then we spend like our whole lives trying to get back to that place.
Well, I think that's why one of the most profound things we can teach and we can learn for ourselves is resilience, because you can't avoid the hard things, and you can't avoid, and we can't get back exactly to who we were with that level of innocence. But the Hashivenu, I think, gets back to the sense of joy, but it takes resilience, the ability to get back up, the ability to say, this isn't the end. And yeah, I might have been knocked down, but That's not the end of the story. And I really believe that a spiritual life, the focus of a spiritual life for me is that it doesn't say you're not going to get knocked down, or that there aren't horrible things in the world, or there isn't a terrible, terrible evil. It's to kind of reduce the gap between getting knocked down and getting back up again.
Right.
To kind of, okay, you develop those muscles that help for resilience. And that's the best thing I think you could teach your grandchildren. We could teach those who and we honestly, and this is the truth I come back to over and over again, we have to model it for people. And the world is, those of us who are older, whether we have children or not, the world is looking, how will we react to things? Will we completely collapse under the burden of the despair? Or will we find some resilience that gives us the ability to, because somebody's going to come along after us, and they need us to show them it's possible to not be crushed by it. All right. Thank you for that, Lori. Thank you very much. How long are you staying out in Seattle?
Another week, so I'll be here for the holidays, but we'll be on the TV if my kids figure out how to put it on. But they always come to CBST when they lived in New York.
35 or 40?
Yeah, but usually they say, "Look it up, Mom." So
but that's what Google does. You can just Google, how do I set up my TV? And remarkably, Google helps a lot. Yeah. Okay. Or do we have Goldalee, Harold?
Goldalee, are you with
Hello?
us? Yes.
I
Okay.
am. Thank you. So apologies for some after edits. Psalm 27, for hope, Luli, if only. If you, my well-lit hope, if you're narrow near, then where? If evil lurks, mine's foes, confounds, then how? As armed unlove commits to harm, faith sounds. One thing I cannot ask is all I need. To ask of you, to let you know, I'm here, amidst dueling, deafening guests, great gratitude, sad fear. Your answer, your God-gifted, joy-faced oi. Your face is only hidden when I hide myself from yours. Do I dare ask of you to meet me there? If I should face my fears, would yours appear? It's your face my heart expects. Please help me unhide mine. I've awaited familial gazes, fear-filled, who cannot turn to see. Let's embrace fear loss with abandonment too. Beloved Shekhinah, I'm held by thankfulness's hope now, which I recognize as you. Shivarim.
Wow. Talk to us, Goldalee. I love this, but let's hear you talk first before I talk about it.
Oh, thank you. Well, as Harold said, I've been listening since March 16th, and it's just been a godsend to be with you all. And it's buoyed me, and it's lifted me as I feel it's lifted you all. And I love to write, and was very excited to write the first psalm, and then I kind of gave up before I sent it, and so haven't written since. So I kind of pushed myself to write this, and did so right before dear Anika's deadline. And so just doing it was a gift. And I thought it was 14 lines in Harold's beautiful synoptic guide. And 14 lines is a sonnet. So, and sonnets have the iambic pentameter. And I allowed myself to go by that and to not adhere too tightly and just let my heart and mind take the structure, because for me structure is very freeing. And I just read every translation and just let my heart and mind express itself as best I could.
talk to us a little bit about the punctuation and the backslashes there.
Oh, I apologize. That was actually just to show Anika that it was the end of the line. So
Okay,
that's
so
not,
it was a printing, what do you
yes.
call it? Info,
That was-
great. Well, I found this very powerful, my well-lit hope, and hope capitalized, I find very beautiful. And then evil capitalized also lurks, minds, foes, confounds that how. And just love that phrase. And I love your use of your face is only hidden when I hide myself from yours. Do I dare ask of you to meet me there? Wow. That is really powerful. Amidst dueling, deafening guests, great gratitude and fear. Isn't that the truth, that we carry both of those things as dueling, deafening guests, gratitude and fear? Fantastic. It's often not one or the other.
Yes.
And I'm held by thankfulness, hope now, which I recognize as you, that hope itself is God. Wow. Fantastic.
Thank you. Well, you know, the muscle you often talk about, I'm very grateful for it. Rabbi Kleinbaum is the deep gratitude. And I always joke, it's sort of like a Jewish joke to me, where it's said that one cannot, if one has gratitude, one cannot have fear and gratitude at the same time. And I always joke, I beg to differ. And yet the gratitude wins out. It quiets the sadness, the loss, the fear, because I do feel that it is all, underneath it all, just love and fear. And I believe that's innate to all of us. So I feel that in your teachings, I feel that in our group here, and it's louder. It deafens all the other very present but not so pleasant feelings. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this. Thank you.
I don't mean to say it's one or the other. If I've said that, I've misspoken.
Oh no, you haven't. You haven't, Rabbi. But I've heard it said that, you know, people say that you can't carry both, and I don't agree with that. But no, you don't. You often, you know, say it's all there and focus on this, which I appreciate.
Yeah. And I think that's a different perspective than we're often fed by America, so to speak. That
Yes.
There's one, you know, life is full of carrying multiple different things at once. And we have choices often about how to, I wouldn't say foreground, background, that's a little too simplistic, but it's a little true that we have to handle both. But our problem mostly is that we tend to take the negative and expand it and foreground it and give it oxygen. And we tend to take the other things and take away the oxygen and make it a little bit sparse. So our tendency as human beings is, I think, I know there are exceptions in the human world, but I think most of us tend to experience, as I keep saying, you know, in the simple way, we experience the curses with much more color, vibrancy, energy than we experience the blessings, even if we know they're both there. And part of our challenge is to give some of that color and vibrancy and energy to the blessings. And I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, you know, that.
Yes. And on Fridays, what I gather is that you invite us every Friday to focus, to build that muscle. By focusing, we build that muscle simply by focusing, if I'm hearing you right, that by that focusing, nothing else disappears, but by focusing, the muscle is built over and over. And that's also my experience in this class. And I've noticed it when people come for a day or for the months we've been together. And so I really deeply thank you for that.
I think focus is a really good word because it's about what we are able to see and experience. And since we often really experience the curses and somehow we're unaware of the blessings, we have to learn to, I compare it to for myself is that I've always loved art, but it wasn't until I started trying to paint that I really started to really appreciate art in a totally different way, because it helped me see, even though I'm not a very good painter, what it helped me do is to develop the eyesight a little bit more to appreciate how so I started to see things that made me feel so much more deeply connected to the art I already loved, but wasn't able to
Yes.
see in the same way. And I'm only I'm below a beginner. So imagine, I just think, God, how does Marcia Melnick look at a painting? It must be like a spectacular experience. How does somebody who's
Mm,
developed the muscles to look at something and see it deeply? And that's what I want to do about blessings. I want us all to develop
mm,
muscles so that when you see a beautiful bird, when you see a beautiful flower, when you have a great cup of tea, when you have a wonderful phone call with a friend that just has you giggling, that you don't get off that phone, you don't walk away from the flower, you don't walk away from the cup of tea and then say, "Oh my God, but life is so bleak." You and me, how does that carry with you a little bit longer? It seems like
yes.
the bleakness we could carry for a long time, but the good stuff, we might notice it and then poof, we're back into bleak. Does this sound
Yes.
familiar to you? You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? So we got to develop those muscles that beauty stays with us longer, that goodness stays with us longer, that holiness, the shadows and echoes of it and the wisps of it stay around longer.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
How are
All,
we doing, Harold? Do we have time?
one more, all the way from Bulgaria. We have Darina. You here, Darina? Ready to go? Okay.
Can you hear me all right?
Yep, we can hear you fine.
So you get a touch of Hashkivenu here along with the sun. Sukkot Shalom Echa. Give me a break, whoever or whatever. Give me temporary shelter, hide me from all the enemies that live inside me and all the enemies that group outside me. Give me a little time to catch my breath. Give me a little space, a peaceful place to take a little rest from flight and fight before my enemies attack again. Give me a little rest. I feel so tired. Give me a little clarity of mind. Figure out which unfinished work I need to finish soon in case I die. Help me to choose what I can leave unfinished. Keep me away from panic and despair for long enough to tidy up my room, for long enough to organize my life, for long enough to learn to face my death. If I should live, please help me find some strength. If I should die, please help me find some peace.
Wow, Darina, this is so spectacular. Your writing is so moving. Would you speak to us about writing this?
Yes, well, it wrote itself in my head while I was walking back home from the park, and I had nowhere to write it down. It kept writing itself while I was waiting in line at the supermarket. So I went back home and I rushed to the computer to type it. And I apparently just needed to be written. So it's kind of like an agnostic spirit.
It's
Just screaming at the universe in general to help me to get out of that place.
it is so deeply powerful. Keep going.
It works. I had accumulated too much pandemic stress apparently, and it doesn't help that I live surrounded with people who don't believe in the pandemic and don't believe in precautions. And on top of all, we are in the middle of political insanity here in Bulgaria. and those things interact in very bad ways. The only good things is that people are finally realizing that we need to get rid of our current government.
Well, we certainly relate. We certainly relate. The President of the United States just had an indoor rally with thousands of people, no one wearing masks. But I
Yes,
find
same
it so
story here.
What?
Well, we have massive anti-government protests here, and most of those people don't wear masks and crowd too densely together.
Well,
And
I
I'm
love
afraid
here by
to go
not
there.
choosing whether the psalm is about enemies that are inside or outside. You're very beautifully right. Give me a temporary shelter, hide me from all the enemies that live inside and all the enemies that group outside. So that's a really powerful resolution of this question. Is it inside or outside? To say we both experience both. We all experience both. And give me a little clarity of mind. I love that. It's like, okay, just a little bit, not too much. I'm not asking for so much, a little clarity to figure out which unfinished work I need to finish soon in case I die. Help me to choose what I can leave unfinished. Keep me away from panic and despair for long enough. Again, I love the feeling that you're asking for what seems to be very small, but honestly is deep and profound, for long enough to tidy up my room, for long enough to organize my life, for long enough to learn to face my death. This is an amazing, amazing psalm, Dorina.
Yes, I was under such stress that I didn't have the mental energy to tidy up my room for months on end.
Wow.
It all
Profound,
yes.
really, really profound. And I think a lot of us relate to it. Very beautiful, Dorina. So I think we don't have time for another one, right, Harold? We'll wait
That
till
is
tomorrow.
correct. We have something very special, something different for the play out than we had for the play in. This is from Adria. This is Zochreinu L'Chaim, which is introduced into the Amidah starting, well, it becomes part of the Amidah, not just for the high holiday services, but for the week in between, for the daily Amidah. So I have put in chat the transliteration and the translation.
The reason I chose this was because on Monday night, with the class that was so beautifully offered by Joyce and Sam, Sam spoke about the impact and the beauty, the depth of the beauty of so many of the melodies that we will be singing. And when he mentioned Zochreinu, I was just overwhelmed by it, and I couldn't get it out of my head for the rest of the evening and the next day. And it's so simple in its construction, but it's so beautiful. So put yourself on mute if you want and sing along. I'm sure you all know this, and if it moves you, go ahead and join me.
What a beautiful choice to follow Dorina's psalm. Thank you so much, everybody. It's so much wonderful, wonderful to study with you. And blessings to all. And I'll see you tomorrow. Same time. See you tomorrow, everybody. Thank you so much.
Let's see. Just stay on a second. No, you gotta stay there. Oh, there's Linda.